of shadows.
Hi my angels, it's Hailey Reese, and for today's video I am super excited because this video was actually requested by one of you guys when I was on a live stream, and after looking into all that is this particular hotel, I realized that I had to make a video on it, not only because it's super haunted, but also because I found it to have a really interesting history and past to it. So today, we are going to be diving into an extremely haunted location, and that is the Baker Hotel. So first, I kind of want to break down the history of the Baker Hotel, how the Baker Hotel came to be, and then we'll break down all of the different spirits that are said to occupy and reside within those walls. Before I get into today's video, please make sure that if you have any video requests or anything that you guys want to see from me, you go ahead and drop your comment down below, because I absolutely love giving you guys the videos that you want to see from me. And if you're new to my channel, please click that subscribe button, join the Reese's Pieces. We would absolutely love to have you. But without further ado, let's just dive right on into the Baker Hotel. So before we really understand the main purpose of this hotel and the history behind it, you really gotta understand Mineral Wells, Texas. Now, Mineral Wells, Texas is actually home to what many believe to be a magical health secret, and that is their mineral-rich water, which others often refer to as crazy water. In the 1880s, people would travel from all across the world to Mineral Wells, Texas, just to get a little bit of that mineral-rich water. People traveled from near and far to get hold of that mineral healing water, and it was actually believed that this water was able to heal basically anything, from things like dementia to physical problems, and just any health problem that people were experiencing, they believed could be cured from Mineral Wells water. So the story of the Baker Hotel, which was a 14-floor hotel, actually began in 1922. The citizens of Mineral Wells really didn't like the fact that non-locals were benefiting from their mineral water, and they especially didn't like that non-locals were actually profiting extensively from the healing water of their city's mineral springs. So they began to collect money in an effort to build a large resort complex owned by local investors. Theodore Baker, who was actually a famous hotel magnate from Texas, was actually chosen to build this hotel, and he had a lot of experience in building, designing, and even managing grand hotels within the States. So he was chosen to build this spectacular hotel. So the creator of the original design of the building was actually an architect by the name of Wyatt C. Hendrick. He actually based the plan for this hotel on the Arlington Hotel in Hot Springs, Arkansas, which was actually known for its baths, its curative water, and its therapeutic treatments. The construction of the hotel actually began in 1926, but was halted when Theodore Baker saw a hotel in California with a swimming pool, and he decided that this hotel too should have a big giant swimming pool. As a result, an Olympic-sized swimming pool was actually put in front of the hotel, and interestingly enough, this was the first hotel in Texas to ever have a swimming pool. Construction began the same year and was actually completed 3 years later. Now, the Baker Hotel was actually the first skyscraper built outside of a metropolitan area, and the hotel would open on November 22nd, 1929. It was a 14-story hotel with 450 guest rooms. It actually had a couple of shops, 2 ballrooms. It also had a gymnasium, a bowling alley, and a giant swimming pool filled with the healing mineral waters. Automatic lights and air conditioning was also included in the hotel, which was a really nice feature back then. And back then, it actually cost $1.2 million, which would be equivalent to around $16 million today. And so this hotel really became a city staple. Now, the hotel actually flourished in the 1930s, despite having opened just a few weeks after the 1929 stock market crash. Now, a lot of Americans during this time were actually suffering with financial problems during the Great Depression, but the hotel was still wildly successful as a ton of wealthy and famous people would visit the hotel. It's actually said that a wealthy woman who was staying in the hotel around this time attempted to jump from the 12th floor into the swimming pool and met her death. And it's actually claimed that her spirit is frequently seen wandering throughout the hotel. Now, the Baker Hotel actually did its part during World War II as well. And during 3 years of the war, the Baker Hotel actually became a home to the dependents of the military personnel. Post-war in the 1940s and the 1950s, the Baker Hotel still attracted guests, but not at the numbers that it once had. In the development of modern medicine and federal regulations, the town's mineral water kind of stopped being a big draw-in for tourists. Because of this, business actually gradually died down and the Baker Hotel became less and less profitable. Now, one of the more gruesome spirits that is said to be seen within the Baker Hotel is that of a bellhop. The poor young worker was actually involved in an elevator accident in the 1950s where his body actually wound up chopped in half. Now, historical records actually have confirmed the death of the young boy, and he does match the description of the ghost seen haunting the hotel. What's really sad about this spirit is that when he is seen, you only see the top half of his body. A porter who actually worked there during the 1950s and the 1960s was one of the first to witness the spirit of a woman on the 7th floor. It's actually thought that she may have been the mistress of a hotel manager, the hotel manager, not a hotel manager. It's actually thought that she was distraught due to the affair and jumped to her death. Now, the year of that particular incident isn't known, but the room that she stayed in is. It's actually thought that she stayed in a suite on the southeast corner of the 7th floor, and she's frequently seen wandering around there. People have reported actually smelling her perfume, and it's thought that she can be incredibly flirtatious to men that visit the hotel that she fancies. Actually, even more interesting, one of the maids that worked there claimed that in that suite, she would frequently find glasses in there with red lipstick on them as though a woman had been sipping from them, even when there was no guests that had been checked into that room. It's also frequently heard on the 1st floor and the 7th floor, high heels clicking around. And so this female spirit is actually one of the most frequently seen spirits alongside with Baker himself. Now, another instance of paranormal activity actually occurred during a tour of the hotel with World War II veterans and their spouses. When the group actually entered the Brazos room on the 1st floor, which is the main dining and dancing area, a couple suddenly stopped. Several people in the tour began hearing like glasses clanking and people talking, and a lot of them actually also heard orchestra music playing in there as well. Now, it is important to note that there was a few people that had this experience, not just one or two, so it was believed that they were hearing the sounds of a different era. In 1963, Earl Baker, who was actually the nephew of Theodore Baker, who was the owner of the hotel at the time, announced that he had financial problems and that he would be shutting down the hotel. The hotel would close down that same year after being open for 30 years. In 1965, local investors actually rented the hotel from the Baker family, and the hotel was actually reopened for a couple of years, but it's actually thought that that ended when Earl Baker died of a heart attack in 1967. He was actually found dead due to natural causes on the floor of the Baker suite. Now, Mr. T.D. Baker actually continued to live in the hotel in a very fancy suite on the 10th floor. He actually lived in the hotel until his death in 1972. The hotel actually finally closed its doors in 1972, although several reconstruction and revamping projects were attempted by the city, but it never really worked out. Now, T.D. Baker, Theodore Baker, is actually thought to haunt the Baker suite. It's actually believed that he chose to stay there up until his death, regardless of seeing it go in and out of flourishing and being non-profitable in certain points, and that when he died, he chose to walk those halls of his masterpiece endlessly. It's actually said that tour guides knock on the doors before entering the Baker suite so that they don't anger him. Witnesses have actually claimed to smell cigar smoke on the floor of the Baker suite, which was one of his habits, and interestingly enough, when people enter the Baker suite, like small things will disappear from their pockets or their purses, and later the employees will find those things in the Baker suite. The Baker Hotel was actually established on the National Register of Historic Places in 1982. Now, a young woman who worked at a local drive-through bank in the 1990s said that her and a couple of her colleagues had workstations facing the Baker Hotel. They would actually begin to notice the hotel windows opening and closing at different times of the day, and they would continuously take note on slow times during work of which windows were opening and why, and then take note of them closing. But eventually they stopped really caring to look at the building because they thought that perhaps it was a caretaker of the building going in and doing so. but there was never a caretaker for the building. So it's thought that that was actually paranormal activity. The Baker Hotel was actually eventually overgrown with a whole bunch of vegetation and became a frequent spot for vandalism. In 2014, the city authorities actually began a massive reconstruction and revitalization of the building in order to restore the deteriorating building. Today, the Baker Hotel still sits vacant, but many people in the area have hope that someday it will be restored and will be a functioning hotel again. However, people who are interested in the hotel are able to go on like a walking tour around it where they have information up about the hotel, but you're unable to actually enter into the hotel for safety reasons and precautions. Although there are some windows on the outside that you can peer in and kind of see the inside of the hotel, but like I said, you're not able to actually enter inside of the hotel because it's deemed dangerous. It's actually believed that there are 49 spirits that call the Baker Hotel their home, and it's actually said that the Baker Hotel was deemed haunted long before it ever closed its doors. You gotta think about the fact too that many people came to the Baker Hotel hoping to be cured from deadly diseases by drinking the mineral water. And unfortunately, as we know now in modern medicine, that water wasn't able to cure things like cancer or deadly diseases. It's actually said that the spirits of the Baker Hotel don't want any help and don't want to be crossed on, and a medium actually said that many people think of the Baker Hotel as a space filled with tortured souls that are trapped there, but it's in fact the exact opposite. It's actually believed that many of these spirits that occupy the hotel either never left or came back to it because of the great deal of peace and relaxation that they felt while staying within the Baker Hotel, and it's a place of fond memory to them, so they've chosen to be there. In the case of the Baker ghost, it's no surprise that he wanted to stay with his legacy and what he had built and created. And with the other spirits, most of the 49 are believed to actually enjoy staying at the Baker Hotel, while some believe that the spirits that fell to their death either by jumping on purpose or trying to jump into the pool, or that young worker who was sliced in half may actually be trapped there because of the traumatic events that took place. Nonetheless, the Baker Hotel is deemed incredibly haunted, and like I said, the Baker Hotel was deemed haunted prior to it closing down, and it's always been a very magical but paranormal hotspot. Well, you guys, that is basically everything and anything on the Baker Hotel. I found this hotel to be incredibly interesting, especially given the history behind the hotel and what really drew people to it in the first place. I also like and appreciate that there's not really like a dark demonic spirit in the hotel, but rather spirits that are believed to have chosen to stay there, which I find makes it all the more interesting and fascinating to me. But that is in essence the Baker Hotel. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the Baker Hotel and what you thought of today's video. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, leave me your video requests down below. And if you're new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, please, please, please click the subscribe button, join the Reese's Pieces. We would love nothing more than to have you here in our family. And please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, to do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you guys.